Good morning. Good Thursday morning to all of you friends, social media connections, to this live stream of Buying That House. And just as a reminder, this is a short series that my guest, Travis Comstock, was kind enough to share his time to do with me. So again, this is the third episode. For those of you who want to go back to maybe our first episode, second one, real easy. Toward the end of today's live stream, I will share with you a QR code where you can snap it. It'll get you to a link, and then you can go back to watching some of those previous episodes on my YouTube channel. So with all of that said, let's do a virtual fly down to where Travis is today. Here we go. All right, Travis, get ready. We're showing up for you. Yep, here we are. We are landed.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. What's up with you today, buddy?
Not much. We got 87 degrees out. I think we already hit that. It is rainy season here, but that usually means it's kind of like Florida in the summertime. About every day, 98% of the day, you're going to see sun at some point, usually in the morning, and then followed by an afternoon shower. But sometimes the shower makes it a lot more humid the next day. Other times it cools it off. So, but we are in full swing. Temperature wise, like I said, 87. And I think we're already there, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning here.
Wow. Well, hey, spring showers or summer showers for that matter, that's what makes everything so, let's call it like it is, green and lush in Costa Rica, right?
Yep. We were just in Mexico about a month ago, and quite the opposite. You know, we were in the Baja California Sur, and it's beautiful, but it's dry. It's cactus and palm trees, and here we have no cactus, but quite a bit of palm trees, a lot of other green, plants, and tons of fruit. But yeah, it's definitely green here, and we're in the Central Pacific, which gets, I'd say, the right amount of rain. Up north in Guanacaste, they have rainy season, but it's much more dry. And then in the Southern Pacific zone, when their rainy season it hits pretty hard. So the more south you go, the more you get hit with the rain. It can be a little depressing at times, day after day of seeing rain, but when the sun's mixed in, it's great. Sometimes there's a tropical storm that sits above the country or over the country, and that's not the only days where you're not going to see sun. And that probably happens about 3 or 4 times a year where you don't see the sun.
Really? 3 or 4 times a year? That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So Travis, I know from the previous episode, the most recent one we did literally 7 days ago, last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You have certainly shared with your audience, my audience, our joint audience who may not know either one of us as well yet, that there is this growing excitement, growing interest from Americans who are buying these second homes, vacation homes, or, an investment property, right? Outside of the US. So let's pick on the typical U.S. states that are typical for like second home, vacation home destinations. So no surprise.
No.
Florida, Arizona, Nevada, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe you look at your hubs, you look at what airports are serving Costa Rica, whether that be
Yeah.
Liberia Airport or San Jose, where we fly into.
Okay.
For whatever reason, Denver, Colorado is up there. And I believe it's just the outdoor enthusiastic person,
Sure.
who enjoys the
Probably.
hiking, who enjoys the green. Atlanta's another big one. That's a 3-hour, 20-minute flight. You mentioned Florida. Miami's 220 direct flight. And then Orlando is pretty big too. They have a Southwest Airlines direct flight. So we're starting
Okay.
to see, and then Canadians. Most Canadians live in Ontario.
That's right.
In Toronto, but we see a lot of Toronto. Probably about 50% of my clients are now Canadian.
Okay.
And Vancouver's the other hot spot. So we lose a lot of Arizona and California to like the areas in Guanacaste, like Tamarindo and Liberia Airport, mainly just because the flight schedules from the West Coast to Costa Rica are a lot more frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infrequent. Yeah. So let's piggyback on, I know we talked about this, but why are more Americans than Canadians, right? Let's include our brothers and sisters a little bit north of us. Why are they now opening their eyes to, hey, let's do something in Costa Rica? We talked about how the cost of owning a property, therefore property taxes, are much less. But beyond that, what are some of the other reasons?
I think it's a lifestyle investment. I'll go with that. Number one, I think people come down here, they fall in love with the culture, they fall in love with the people, the weather. There's so many good factors when you're coming down here for vacation and you're falling in love with the country. So
Okay.
I see a lot of people trying to diversify, put their money in international investment rather than go to Florida and buy another home where you have to sit on expensive insurance policies if you can even get insured. And then HOAs are out the roof. I mean, especially if you look at the Miami coast. A lot of the older buildings, the HOAs are significantly rising. Same with here in Costa Rica, but we do have a lot of pre-sale opportunities where that's an equity play, and the HOAs are going to be much lower to start, primarily just because everything's more energy efficient, like the air conditioners, like the mini splits.
Okay.
But yeah, Canadians too. Canadians, if you haven't seen or heard, are not 100% happy with America.
Yeah, they're not.
No, they don't feel as wanted. So a lot of them are leaving Florida and coming down a little bit more south. Keep in mind, we're a central time zone. We're an hour behind Chicago right now, just with the daylight savings that we don't observe, but we are central time zone. So it's so easy for remote workers or just people that have the ability to take time off work, grab their computer and work while they're down here.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons, you look at other hot destinations like Spain, for example, or, in Europe, anywhere in Europe, it's a lot different. First of all, the flight's a long time. It's hard to keep up with family and friends.
Right.
So I think that's a big thing we have going for us is that central time zone.
Okay. And the fact that, you just dropped in today's live stream, this morning's live stream, you only get 3 or 4 major tropical storm or big weather events. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, we just had one a few weeks ago where it brought rain, probably 3 or 4 days in a row. One time, and I advise people now not to come, usually during November. That's our rainiest. It's the cheapest time to travel here, but it's by far and away the rainiest. So my parents came one time for 3 weeks and it rained almost every single day. So that's not normal. Like I said, it's rare not to see the sun. And the day they were leaving, pulling out, the sun was back out. So travel here anytime. I would say October, November, you may want to steer away and come mid-December, January, February, March. However, a lot of people come down and buy property in October and November, primarily because they've been here before. They know what they're looking for. It's easy to travel here, easy to get a rental car. Hotels are relatively inexpensive too, just because the travel is down significantly for those 2 months.
Yeah, it's the off-peak season. So maybe a great time to commit to buying something.
I think so. Yep. Right now, we're seeing an influx of people. Tourism's up right now from last year, which is huge. We ended up last year thinking it wasn't going to be a great year, and it wasn't, but it finished extremely strong in December. So that helped kind of pull the numbers up on an average basis for the entire year. And then this year's, we're just crushing it. We have so many arrivals into the international airports. Yeah, it's kind of lines up with if you think about in the States, when graduation parties are happening in May, we don't see a lot of people. Here comes June, July, and half of August, and we see an influx of people coming down from the States, primarily because school is out of session. And then about mid-August, it goes very, very quiet all the way to December. And that's just because kids are going back to school, going back to high school, going back to college. Teachers are going back to work. So we align pretty nicely with the U.S. and the holiday schedule.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. As you may know, the average age of a buyer right now in the U.S., surprisingly, right, or maybe not, is pushing past 55.
Woo.
That's where most of the buyers are at here in the U.S. What do you see persona-wise as to the first-time buyer of a property from America or Canada in Costa Rica? What do you see?
I mean, it's interesting you say that. Times have changed. Back when I came out of college, I saved up enough money and I got a house when I was 21. So, I mean, now I think it's so much harder because the prices have gone up, inflation's gone up. A lot of the millennials are not able to afford at this time, or they're going in on investment, whether that's a fractional investment with a buddy, with a parent, etc.
Sure.
Down here, we do see a lot of 50 and older, but those are the people who are thinking about retirement. Those are the people thinking about coming down here 6 months out of the year. However, like I mentioned in our last podcast, I have a younger gentleman from Miami who can't afford a place in Miami, so he rents, and he lives here as a secondary home, puts it on Airbnb, makes enough money to pay his rent in Miami and come down here and enjoy it. So we're seeing a lot of, I would say 30 plus. I would say probably, if I had to guess, around 42 to 45 is our average age. But yeah, it varies quite a bit.
All right. So let's now shift gears, and if I may, let me highlight a property that you are currently selling, that you have listed for sale right now. So let me bring that up here into our virtual studio screen. Here we go. So this is a property, right?
Yeah, this is an amazing property. It won't last long. It's as you can see, it's in Jaco proper, which is a 2.5 to 3 mile stretch of beach. The reason why this is so popular is it's in a gated community with a golf cart ride that's about 5 minutes away. Not only that, it's got a resort style pool. It's got pickleball. It's got tennis. It's got putt-putt golf. It's got Olympic sized pool. Pretty much all the amenities you can imagine. This particular unit has a lot of upgrades with regards to installation, and it's never been rented. It's bought and sold by the original investors.
Wow.
But a beautiful house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, sitting 5 minutes from the ocean for $327,000 is a steal. Like I said, it's a gated community in a beautiful south end of Jaco where everything is a lot more lush and green. In that back picture, there's a opportunity to do I guess it would be a splunge pool, a splash pool, right where that yellow grill is at. That could be moved in, and then there could be a pool there. A lot of the neighbors have pools, but you're not going to find many neighborhoods like this sitting in Jaco proper, this close to the beach with that price tag. You can see the pictures there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And a single story home. You just brought up the fact a lot of retirees or people, in their 60s may be coming down. A lot of people don't like steps. So a single family home is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. As I've shared with some of my clients, real estate connections, partners like you, ranch homes are the bomb right now. Yeah. So let's bring us back together. So for someone that's considering buying, of course, a single family home, ranch home, for this property that you're selling for these investors, 330, oh my gosh, you and I both know this. You can't buy a whole lot. It's kind of like a diamond in the rough here in the Midwest for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, any major city, I feel like, is well above that. That house right there in Chicago, you name any suburb, would be 600, 700,000.
Bingo.
Columbus, Ohio, if we put that thing like in Grandview where I used to live, you're looking at 4 to 5. I mean, it's, and then the taxes, depending on where you're at, could be anywhere from 7 to call it 11,000 a year.
Wow.
And here it's, let's call it about $750 a year. So
yeah, it's amazing.
HOA fluctuates with the exchange rate, so it's not doing that great right now, but it's about $185 a month. And that covers everything you can imagine, including a master HOA policy for the development, 24-hour security, landscaping, pool maintenance, everything that you can imagine that HOA will get you.
Yeah. So for someone who's looking at a property like this, talk to me about this, Travis. What are some common mistakes that expat buyers have made that, as part of you sharing this with them, we're trying to steer them away from making the same mistakes again? What are some mistakes?
I mean, mistakes are plentiful here. I got like a list of 5. I've done a separate YouTube clip on this, but basically a lot of people here, they jump on a plane, they got their Pura Vida hat on, they got their Hawaiian shirt, they're ready to rock and roll. They come here, they might be drunk getting off the plane already. Life is good, everything's awesome. Look at this piece of land. If we get it before we go, we can get a 40% discount on it. The realtor told me that. He was also our taxi cab driver. So let's do it. Let's buy this land. Come to find out, there's no electric nearby. So possibly getting an electric availability letter is going to be hard. And then the biggest one is water. If there's not infrastructure to bring the water, or if you can't get what's called a concession to either bring the water from the Asada, which is a local community that distributes the water, or you can do a private well. Even when you do a private well, you still have to get a concession to use the water from that well. So point to that is due diligence is huge here. Similar to Illinois, we're a very attorney-driven state. There's not title insurance, but there is submission into the National Registry as the owner. So it's very safe and secure. But without doing your due diligence and without having water, for example, you're buying a piece of land that you're never going to sell, or you're going to have to sell to someone that wants to drill a well, dig a well. So, a lot of people get stuck with their hands out because they just bought a piece of land that's absolutely worthless because of a lack of water or a lack of electricity. So that'd be number 1, not doing the due diligence. Number 2 is just the purchase price is only the bottom line. When we look at the story, you have HOA fees like we discussed, property tax, property manager. So those figures need to be added into the cost of the overall purchase. And then if you want to deduct rent from there as a projection, that could help understand how much money you're going to be putting in your pocket from a return on investment standpoint.
Right.
Number 3 would be ignoring the local market nuances. And what I mean by that is each beach is different. Hako Beach, for example, has tons, almost 2,300 Airbnb units, or condos, I should say. Probably half of those are Airbnb. So you get a lot of eyeballs. So you get a lot of people looking on this beach, whereas let's say you go to a beach south of here, like Esterias or even Playa Bandera, like an hour south of here, if that, it's going to be a lot different. You're not going to have all the tourists coming to a touristy destination. So your occupancy is going to be way down compared to if you were to buy in more of a, call it vacation beach town area like Hako Beach. So that's what I mean by the nuances. Every beach town is different. You can't expect the same return on investment from beach 1 to beach 2 or mountain 1 to mountain 2. Number 4, choosing the wrong property for your goal. This comes back to what's your strategy? What's your investment? Is it going to be a lifestyle investment that memories are going to be made? Is it going to be where your family comes and enjoys it? Is it going to be where your friends come and enjoy it? Is it going to be an embarrassing house that you're afraid to show off? But basically, it's understanding the right property for your goal. For example, there may be a villa in the mountains with killer ocean views, but the price tag on that has nothing to do with the current buyer. And a lot of times people try to stretch their money, and without having the complete picture, it can be pretty hard to do. Number 5 is not planning for a property manager. A lot of times people will do their Airbnb. by themselves, which is great, the communication, the bookings, but they're not factoring in the cleaning fees, the maintenance fee, the money on reserve, the money to pay the utilities. So property management here goes anywhere from 20 to 25% off the top. So, you know, it's not insanely high priced. I think similar to kind of what we see in Chicago. But that not understanding the property manager or getting a good one can really destroy your investment. And not having an exit strategy, you know, which again, that villa is nice, but how are you going to sell it and to who? You know, most people that want to move here are beachgoers, and then they live here for a little bit longer, and then they head up to the mountains. So having an exit strategy, whether that be a 5-year turnaround dump, ride the equity, it needs to be established. And even a property manager can kind of help with the goal setting and looking at occupancy rate, nightly, daily rate, and just figuring out a good return on investment for a client. I have people call me now and they're looking for 10% return on investment. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. No. I don't care where you're at, Hawaii, Miami, doesn't matter. So what I try to do is a rental analysis that's on the conservative side. And basically I'm shooting for a 5% return on investment for my clients. If that doesn't happen, which a lot of times it won't, what we're looking at is about a 3 to 4% return on investment. But the biggest thing, especially in the pre-sale situation, is the equity that you're sitting on once the project or once the development is complete. So I would say equity in terms of year-to-year rise would be about that same 3 to 4%, depending on where you're at.
Okay.
The exit strategy could be, hey, we're going to use this property 2 months out of the year, or we're going to use it 2 weeks out of the year. We're going to rent it. We're going to be realistic and understand that occupancy rate may be anywhere from 55 to 65%, which is going to yield X amount of cash into our pocket. And then if you assume the appreciation in 5 years, that's where you can dump the property for profit. Or what I see a lot of people doing is foot in the door, then trading up.
Got it. And when they trade up, do they have to worry about like the 1031 exchange stuff?
No,
they don't have to.
No, a lot of times if you're not selling your property, you can kind of do a bridge loan to carry the gap between your current property. But no, 1031 exchange from Europe is possible, but not from the States. I have a lot of people ask that question. So those are the 5 mistakes to avoid. I would say the way you avoid them all is you get with a trusted real estate agent like myself. And then I have a team of lawyers. So, you know, it's similar in the States. I'm supposed to recommend 3 or 4 different ones. I have 2 or 3 that I work with hand in hand. So depending on who you are and who you're going to work best with is who I can kind of, you know, send the deal to from the attorney side. The other thing here, I'll add one more thing, is understanding titled beachfront property versus concession sale. So the way that works is 95% of the world and 95% of Costa Rica, if you're buying within the maritime zone, it's the first 50 meters is owned by the government. You can't build it. You can't inhabit it. You can't really do anything with it. Then the next 100 is protected. So basically what that looks like is if it's protected land, it's a concession sale. Basically, you're leasing the land from the government on a 20-year, sometimes 25-year renewal, which you have to renew. Point to that is it's complicated. In Jaco, where we're at, it's titled beachfront property, the same as you would own in the States. It's exempt, if you will, from the maritime law. So if it's a concession sale, you just got to be careful. You got to do more due diligence. Point to that is if it's a concession sale, I'm going with different attorneys who understand the due diligence process. And concession's fine. Like I said, it's everywhere in the world. You just got to be very careful what you do with the property, because if you misuse it or you build, let's say, outside of the legal zoning permitting, that could essentially be the government property when it comes time to, you know, renew that lease. And it's like the States. The government's not in the business of owning property, but you know, you buy a house on the beach that's a concession, and you build outside the zoning, you turn it into a strip club, we're going to have an issue.
Or whatever you build, the government, the municipality reserves the right to basically say, well, we take it from you, right? Or you can't do this. You got to demolish it and get it back to zero.
Or we have a new hotel coming in. This is an example, but we have a new Marriott coming in and they have to redo the roads to get up to the hill to get to the Marriott. Guess what? If your property lines that, then there's going to be some encumbrances and some headaches as the government just kind of does what they do, and they can change the stakes of what your property is now. You know, if a road comes into your property now, you have less land. So it's tricky. Like I said, it's lawyer driven. It's not unsafe, but as you can imagine, Bill, if I say, hey, here are your two options: title beachfront property that you own in the National Registry, or you can do a concession sale. Also, with the concession sale, if you're an American or a foreigner, you have to start a corporation and have 51% of it owned by a local TICO or TICA. Typically, that's going to be an attorney that you're working with that just has limited power of attorney, so they can't make any decisions that affect the property, but they are, you know, the face, the owner of the corporation that owns the property.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So that's why HOCA is so popular.
These details. That's amazing. Yeah.
That's why HOCA is so popular. We don't have that. So literally, I'm in a condo right now, sitting on the beach, and it's, you know, fully titled.
Yeah, fully titled, a percentage of ownership if it's a condo, or if it's that single family home, you know, it's your typical like fee simple ownership.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. As opposed to you know, the land leasehold stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, audience members. Now that you've heard all of the stuff from my good friend Travis Comstock, who has already lived this lifestyle that maybe you're thinking about, dreaming about, and yes, that's you. You know, Canadians who may be wanting to go a little bit farther outside of the US for the reasons that we joked about, or it could be you who maybe inherited an estate and you've got some money that you want to invest in. How can you reach out to Travis? Real easy. By the way, also killing two birds with one stone. How can you not only reach out to Travis, but maybe when and if you need to go back to the start of our short series here of buying that home and watch again some of those previous episodes? All you need to do, audience members, real easy, making it easy for you, is simply scan the QR code that you see here. Once you do that, you'll see this landing page. You can then hit my YouTube channel. You'll be able to get to those episodes, all three of them that Travis and I shot, sharing information for all of you. So as I wrap up, Travis, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. Feel free to call, email, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever way to get a hold of me. So I appreciate you having me on. I think it was a fun 3 series. Hopefully it was educational for your listeners. And yeah, anytime you want to reconnect, I think there's a lot to talk about as the market changes here, for sure.
That's spot on. So Travis, adios. To all of you amigos and amigas, adios. See you in the next episode of Buying That House. Music Posse, let's play us out. Let's go.